cancer cannot get a hold on the body if the liver's working in optimum performance.
This is Barbara O'Neill, an internationally renowned health expert, and in this video she exposes the 7 worst foods that feeds and boost cancer cells. This 7 foods must be avoided at all costs if you want to live a cancer-free life.
Do you remember what cancer cells are consuming? 15 times the glucose of any other cell. This is a low glucose diet. Someone wanted to conquer cancer, what would they quite drastically drop? The carbs.
According to Barbara O'Neill, cancer cells loves processed carbohydrates, and reducing your intake of this processed carbs can most definitely lead to a cancer-free life. Now here are 7 processed carb foods that we must all avoid. Number 1.
So here we've got bread.
Most bread is made from refined flour, which lacks fiber and essential nutrients found in whole grains. The refining process removes the bran and germ, leaving behind starchy endosperm that is quickly digested and converted into glucose. Elevated glucose levels can stimulate insulin production, potentially promoting cancer cell growth. Number 2.
Cereals, a very popular one.
Many breakfast cereals are highly processed and contain significant amounts of refined grains and added sugars. Similar to bread and cakes, they can cause rapid increases in blood sugar levels, prompting insulin secretion. Chronic consumption of high-sugar cereals may contribute to insulin resistance and a pro-inflammatory state, potentially supporting cancer cell growth. Number 3.
So I'm just going to say cakes, etc. So this takes into consideration the donuts, the biscuits, the cakes, the pastries, the pies, all of that.
Cakes typically contain high amounts of refined sugar and flour. The combination of refined carbohydrates and sugars leads to rapid spikes in blood glucose levels. This spike triggers insulin release, which can create an environment conducive to cancer cell proliferation, as cancer cells often rely on glucose for energy. Number 4.
Pizza. When I was a little girl, I didn't know what a pizza was.
Pizza crust is typically made from refined flour, which behaves similarly to bread and contributes to elevated blood sugar levels. Additionally, high-fat toppings like cheese and processed meats may contribute to inflammation and insulin resistance, further supporting conditions favorable for cancer cell proliferation. Number 5.
Pasta. I don't think there's a home today that doesn't have pasta. Would that be right?
Like bread and pizza crust, pasta is often made from refined flour that lacks fiber and nutrients. It can lead to rapid spikes in blood glucose levels, triggering insulin release. Regular consumption of refined pasta may contribute to insulin resistance and create an environment that promotes cancer cell growth. Number 6.
Rice is another carbohydrate.
White rice, commonly consumed in its refined form, has a high glycemic index, GI. This means it quickly raises blood sugar levels, stimulating insulin secretion. Elevated insulin levels may support the growth and proliferation of cancer cells, as they can utilize glucose more effectively than normal cells. Number 7.
Potatoes. That's a high carbohydrate food.
Potatoes, especially when consumed in their processed forms like fries or chips, have a high GI. This can lead to rapid increases in blood sugar levels and subsequent insulin release. High insulin levels may create an environment conducive to cancer cell growth and proliferation.
I'm not saying carbohydrates are bad. I'd be a fool to do that. We love them. We enjoy them. They're not bad. They only pose a problem when they're overdone and refined. Got that? Notice the 2 words, overdone, and surely on the high carbohydrate diet, it's a little bit overdone, isn't it? And refined, because most people that are on this diet, it's refined. But you can still overdo the unrefined carbohydrate. So when people are on this high carbohydrate diet, too much glucose is released. The body can only deal with so much, so it has to be stored in the fat cells. Now, Dr. Robert Atkins knew that science. So he looked at himself getting this, what we call spare tire. So he decided to do an experiment on himself. He decided to stop all carbohydrates. Few things happened. His weight just fell off. Why? Well, he's not supplying the quick-release glucose stores, and so his liver has to start breaking down his fat stores. It's called gluconeogenesis. Within 6 months, he had all his patients on the diet. After a year, a few things started happening which he was unprepared for. Someone wanted to conquer cancer. What would they quite drastically drop? The carbs. Someone wanted to conquer their diabetes. What would they drop? The carbs.